Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, all fly nerd and nerdettes, you are now in tune to
The most socially diverse and gamer conscious podcast.
In the Universe. Wfng Fly Nerd Radio.
Cannons to the left, cannons
And
to the
to the
right.
right.
Hey yo,
What up?
gamer conscious.
Gamer conscious.
Right?
That means like,
Yo, that mean we got game, G. We got
yeah,
game.
game.
We
got
got
game.
game, and we welcome you all to play on our joysticks.
Ooh, there you go. Hit all the buttons.
Yeah.
Tap all the buttons. Tap out. To
You
the
know.
tap out. So yo, this is a special episode of WFNG Fly Nerd Radio, man. We're gonna focus on we're gonna nerd out, man. We haven't been talking about this subject matter too much, so it's good to take a break and get into, straight video game talk, and we brought our guy with us, Mr. Kevin Fair. I play games here to chop it up, and yeah, we get into what he's about the gamer life, about tournaments, and things, doing things for the city and so on. So
Well,
yeah.
let's let him
No,
give.
don't show. Let's tell. Yeah.
Yeah, let's let you talk your shit.
No,
I
what's
mean,
going on, everybody, man? For real, man. This is a long time coming, man, and I've been a fan of the show, man. And I want to give you guys your flowers on what you wanted to start. I thought one of the funniest episodes was when you discussed Ty Mac, and
uh,
like
uh,
I said.
that's going way back.
No,
Yeah.
right, man, and I think it's always interesting when you have fans that are that are lurkers to a degree, man. And
Yes,
so,
sir.
once again, man, I've been watching and appreciating the work you guys have been doing for a very long time. So, super blessed to be here today and to be able to share my little slice of the pie of the nerd kingdom in that particular way, and what it is that I love the most. I know y'all threw it out there already, but I'm the owner of I Play Games. LLC based right here in Chicago, Illinois, but not limited to, man. Been all over the place, man. As far east as New York for New York Comic Con, as far west as Seattle for PAX, as far south as El Paso. We went
Okay,
right up
okay.
next to right next to the border and whatnot. That was a really cool experience. And yeah, no, man. I mean, at the core of it, man, I'm a person who really enjoyed video games as a kid. Bonded with my brother through those experiences. Made a lot of friends, man. Group members of the podcast, man, are longtime homeboys of mine. It's crazy to look up and say that it was 16 years ago. And
Yeesh.
it's such a passion of mine that I took what I did for a 9 to 5 and I switched it up to this and decided to do my own thing. And realistically, man, haven't looked back since.
So
That's dope, man.
let's tap into that. So let's just focus on this last part you just said first and foremost. So kids, and for those of us who are parents watching this and listening who have kids,
Right.
gaming can be a career. There are careers in gaming, absolutely. And we're not just talking about playing games,
Yep.
but as Kev was saying, he found an interesting niche in the gaming world, the industry, that is not just about playing games, but it's also about exposing other people to the gaming culture and giving them an opportunity to participate. And I want to kind of touch on that because, there's other things going on behind the scenes that they're not aware of yet.
Right.
But talk about that aspect of, I play games and your whole message and your ethos around that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the cool thing is that I had a really super traditional trajectory in life, right? Go to school, go to college, go to, get a good job, right?
Right.
It's the Kanye format. I think if you remember, I think it was, what was that? Graduation, late registration, and remember he said it was supposed to be the third album was supposed to be Good Ass Job.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
And I followed that Funny enough, I graduated in 2004 when What's the Face College Dropout came out. I graduated in 2008 when I graduated in 2008 when Homecoming came through, so I was coming back home.
Okay.
And I think the funny thing is, as you point to careers in video games, at the time, I had to use my imagination. There were no classes that talked about careers in video games. And so,
Right.
so much has gotten so much better. And people have become more creative in what is considered a job, right? I think
Right.
people have truly considered what entrepreneurs have done in specific spaces around video games and started to build career learning pathways for that. And I think that's really one of the cool things we try to focus on too. We try to find ways to impact our youth as CPS vendors, as workshop creators. We try to find ways to inspire kids to take the technology that's right in front of them and start to think about those things as they, like plays out for careers. So like one of the cool things we have a lot of fun doing in our workshops, we tear down the Xbox Series S. I literally take it apart for students in real time.
Oh,
They
that's
get to
dope.
start seeing the parts and the pieces of it. And then I love hearing the stories when the parents is like, well, now they're taking apart our stuff at home. And I was like, what? That's a good problem to have, right? To start having adventurous kids who think about engineering, who think about broke fix. That's what I did while starting the company. While I was working, I was an IT technician for a nonprofit here in Chicago, and I was running my business and I was fixing people's computers from 9 to 5.
Okay.
And when I got the opportunity to, and I went full time with this because the company closed.
Necessity breeds ingenuity.
Right.
I literally had the biggest event that we had ever had. We got invited on to work with one of the biggest clients at the time. That was the Courtyard Marriott, the
Okay.
hotel. And like I said, we never really looked back. And so I think part of our mission in all of this was that we went all around the country. We did a lot of different things as far as competitive video games go. Most people know our company for that kind of service, but primarily our company provides 3 key services. We provide you all of your equipment. So most folks are like, hey, Kev, I need 20 Xboxes, monitors, game controllers, X, Y, and Z. We also provide you the manpower to get that done. So we deliver it, set it up, maintain the space for you. We'll do registration, host a tournament, tear it down and take it home. And then the
Right.
third part is nobody knows that we end up doing planning, right? We consult your event for you. We'll tell you how much you could do in your floor space. We'll tell you how much power you need. We'll tell you how many tournaments you can get done in one day. And then once again, we'll wrap all of that up for you in a nice little package. And you could go from having nothing to having a full video game activation. And we were doing that everywhere, right? And what we started to notice was the influx in people who were coming from different countries to participate, because other countries they were on esports already, right?
Okay.
So a lot of places that were advanced like Korea and China, essentially a lot of the jobs here for the competitive market were dominated by people coming from different places. Europe was another place where a lot of people were really into esports in that way. And so we said, how do we get the Black and brown children from where we're from, right, from Chicago, to get into this, knowing that they playing, knowing that they're consuming, knowing that they're playing? How do we do that, right? And so we took a portion of our business, and I don't always say we pivoted. It feels like we added another branch to what we do, right?
Okay.
Somewhere around 2013, 2014, we started doing after school programs where we were just very explicit about this is about kids getting better at video games and learning how to be in the tournament scene, right? And so we had a lot of good experiences with that up until this most recent year. We brought students to C2E2. We brought
Okay.
about 35,
Dope.
we brought about 35, 40 students to C2E2. And so we practice a particular game for 8 to 10 weeks. And after those 8 to 10 weeks, they showcase their skills in a tournament against the other schools that we're practicing and doing those types of things with. And so imagine being a kid who's always been into video games, but now as a teenager, you get a chance to showcase that at one of the biggest conventions in the city. And you get to, try to win some really good prizes. You get, essentially free tickets. You get a field trip to Comic-Con on Friday out of the week. And
Yeah.
I'm really into, I think at the core of it, man, I love making these experiences for all of our audience members, for our families, for our adults that we did arcade bar events
Hmm.
for our kids who are just learning to get in the space, for our competitors who have been working really hard to become champions at it. All of the work we do, all of the services that we do are about making these great experiences, and video games are the conduit.
I love it,
Whoa,
man. I
that's
love it,
what's
man.
up. So talk about this. So this thing called esports. For those who
Yep.
don't know, like what is
Yep.
esports?
Yeah. Yeah.
Esports, in like the layman's terms, the easiest way to understand it is it's organized competitive video gameplay. There's a ton of people who are competing. You compete with your friends when you
Hmm.
guys sit together and you play Smash Brothers, or when you sit together and play Street Fighter, or even when
Hmm.
you just get over on Xbox Live or Game Pass Ultimate and you play, Call of Duty. Sure,
Right.
you're competing against one another, but there's a lack of organized element to it. And that's really where esports comes into. At some point or another, there is an organizing body that is taking the competition and making something out of it. And I think that's probably the best way to really just kind of understand it. You could go on Chat GPT right now and they'll give you this really long-winded answer about MLG and FaZe Clan and all these other organizations spending money. And that's cool and all. But at the core of it, it's competitive games that are organized.
All right, so I see esports hitting universities now, hitting DePaul. You know what I mean, and certain little schools, even U of I is have esports divisions and shit like that. So, and they're talking about taking the students to Evo and things like that. So,
Sure.
how when did this tournament thing became like nationwide? Like, was it a specific game or was it a specific event or this is just a culmination of just, these tournaments like having value to be on ESPN? You know what
Right.
I mean? Like I see this shit on ESPN and be like, oh wow, never would have thought it would have been on that. And people would consider that because, there's been a stigma against video games. I think it still are people that don't like video games.
Right.
We'll get in that conversation a little bit later. But yeah, when did this become a big thing where everyone's paying attention to esports now?
Well, I think here's the way that I usually track these things is I usually track it against a lot of our traditional sports, right? And so I always remind people that Harvard and all of the other schools, Ohio State, everybody had, clubs for football. Very similar to how colleges had video game clubs for a really long time. And so there's 100-year difference between those clubs at a college level and the NFL's very first Super Bowl. And so when you think about how video games in a lot of ways has existed in this club space where once again you've been competing amongst your friends, right?
Right,
um,
absolutely.
One of the people that you guys have on the podcast is a pioneer, if you will, Corey Green. Funny
Yeah,
enough,
shout
no,
out
I mean
Corey.
Corey and
Yeah,
Chauncey and that the whole family over
yeah.
there at Columbia College, man, they had the Columbia
Right.
College Game Club. When you think about that for a
Yeah,
very long time,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
yeah.
competed amongst one another for a very long time, and that was cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
But nobody was coming down and saying, "Hey, I'm going to be an organizing body between all competitive, players involved," right? And so when you think about how that started to kind of come along through the early 2000s, so like I mentioned with groups like MLG, or even I think the group that really kind of broke some of this out is Riot with League of Legends. They
Okay,
created a
okay.
game that people were playing and competing, but as the group that created the game, they also said, let's take some responsibility in organizing the competition as well. And so
Right.
through that, they've really become, in my opinion, kind of like the FIFA of esports between them and CSGO. But in a lot of ways, Riot stands behind their product and then creates these engagements and organizes competitive gameplay for people all over the world, and they've created incredibly big events. We actually were the youth community. I think what were they calling us? Like the youth development partners for the year that they hosted their summer finals. They hosted World Summer Finals here in Chicago. I think
Yeah.
that was back in either 21 or 22 at the United Center.
Mm-hmm.
And so you imagine they got enough where they could fill a United Center, right? They could go to
Right.
different parts of our country. They can go to Europe. They can go to Asia, and they can fill a stadium, right? And so I always liken it to kind of like that, kind of like evolution, where there were gaming clubs, through the early 2000s, taking a lot of those 70s and 80s babies who were getting into college but always had a home console, and we're now able to use the portability of those home consoles to make a game club, right? Imagine how difficult it would be to have a game club on your college campus if you had to lift a Pac-Man machine, right? If you had to lift a Street Fighter 2 machine and be like, "Hey, I'll see y'all at game club today, man. I'm bringing, Gallagher with me. Y'all gonna see." You
Right. The pickup truck pulling up.
know? So, no, you really watch the portability of consoles make this kind of activity popular and communal in that way, because it's possible now. It's like, oh, well, I can pick this thing up and just bring it to us, guys, if you really want to. And so, as young adults who had access to the technology and enjoyed making these experiences out of it, building a community in that particular way, really allow people to start sharing their tastes, right? And so you get to the mid 2000s, and like I said, early signs of MLG and things like that starts to come along. And then I think anything you can turn into a spectator sport, ESPN is willing to cover. They had poker on there for years.
True. True.
Yeah.
Tell me how poker is more of
Yeah.
a sport than esports is, when you could say the same precise thing, in relation to it, where it's like, well, that's really strategy. It doesn't really require you to physically be in some kind of condition. And the reality is that poker was just seen as a widely more accepted activity in that particular way.
Mm.
Just accepted poker as an activity more than they did video games at first. And you're starting to see that change, right? You're starting to see a lot of the adults who probably wouldn't have considered esports a sport for worthy of ESPN coverage. You're
Yeah.
starting to see a lot of that change as well, just because it makes perfectly good sense in that way. And so, no, I think that's probably, like, if I had to give my short answer on it. And the crowd's probably laughing. They was like, "That was short, bro."
That was the short answer, because I was like, "Hey, this is very thorough." So with you, let's talk about your gaming background. Like, where'd you start? Like how did you start? Like, was it a system? Was it a particular game? Like, what type of game? Like, what's your bio?
I couldn't even tell you how early it was. I mean, because I feel like I've always enjoyed the medium. I can't think of a time where I didn't. I can't
Yeah.
think of a time where it was like, oh wow, this might actually be kind of cool. I mean, I was born in =85, and so imagine Super
Okay.
Mario
Okay.
Brothers 1 is
Yeah.
out, right? It's
Yeah.
coming out. There's no
Yeah.
when I was a little kid, I used
Oh man.
to take the sales papers, and I used to redraw the sales papers. Like, I would draw out a Nintendo, I would draw, because I would show, hey mom, this is what I want, so
That's
that
what you want.
you didn't
Man,
there
that's
was
right.
no mistake.
No mistakes.
Right. This.
Precisely
Like, you
this.
want the Nintendo, don't come home with the innuendo.
Yeah,
Like,
right. And I think my parents, I think at the time, I think they thought it was just another toy, right? And
Mhm.
guess what? Nintendos were expensive toys, right?
yeah.
You weren't
Yeah.
getting a Nintendo for $20. And so
Right.
I think, to my parents at first, I think they were probably a little, and I don't disrespect my folks. I'm one of 5 children. So
Okay.
you couldn't just get one kid, a super expensive toy in that particular way. So it took some time. I think it was the Christmas of like '91 in that way. And that's because 91 going into '92, that Christmas was the Christmas that the Super Nintendo was coming out.
Ooh,
Yeah.
here we
So,
Okay.
go. Here
par
we
for the
go.
course,
Here we go.
the Super Nintendo was the new premier system. So the
Yes, sir.
regular Nintendo was on sale. So my parents was like,
Ah.
wow, what's the difference between these? Oh, the
Oh,
price?
it's a
Yeah.
big
The price is the
Right. We know what to do.
difference. So, they went for the former, not the latter.
Mhm.
And I was grateful all the same, because I mean, I remember begging other kids to try to play their system. Be like, hey, can I play? Can I play? And I was just like, well, I finally got one of my own now.
Right.
So I could care less, that we got what you would consider the last year's model. I didn't care. So for me, that in a lot of ways is where, you could really see it. There's a level of tenacity behind being like, no, this is something that I want. I'm always into it. We couldn't pass an arcade or an arcade machine and me not ask for quarters in that particular way.
Right. Right.
It was really easy to know what it is I wanted, and I think I was born literally in the middle of all of that. Right? They took down arcades after the late 70s, then brought them back in the mid 80s, and new games started to come out. Street Fighter 2 comes out in
Yep.
87. So then
Yep.
I'm ready and prepared for Street Fighter 2, not Street Fighter 2, but Street Fighter 1 comes out in 87. And then here comes Street Fighter 2. That's getting ready to like blow the doors off of everything.
Yes,
Now you
sir.
realize arcade people are like, wait a sec, arcade owners are like, wait a second. So you telling me I can make money on two people at one time instead of one person, like things like Pac-Man. And so, that type of game really starts to take off because it once again, it's moving money in
Right.
that particular way. And so my big cousin was a huge fan of Street Fighter, and he was like an older brother for me. So whatever he did, I was following him. And so, yeah, man, it's just been for me, the beginning was such a time of just like wow and amazement where I love to just kind of be in the space of video games. All of the TV shows was out at the time.
Yes.
Kevin
Super Mario.
from Game Master,
Yep. Captain
Yep.
yep,
N.
Captain N, the
Captain.
Game
Yeah.
Master.
Yeah.
I had a ton of that stuff to look forward to. The Super Mario Brothers Super Show
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
on.
Captain Lou
Uh,
Albano.
Captain Lou Albano, once again, just to remind everybody, if you're using drugs, you can go to your parents, your rabbis, please. If you do drugs,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Oh
Facts.
shit.
and
Whoa.
no, yeah. So all of those things were there, man. The things that kept me into the medium, I think, were really, really great at the time. And yeah, I mean, it's continued to be something that's always been fun for me.
And
For
that's
me,
what's
once
dope.
again, yeah, we just been having fun.
Yeah, and that's what's dope, man, because like we all from that era, right? So you talking the games, I'm thinking about, the arcade on 47th and shit. That got shut down and shit. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's where we used to go and play Street Fighter after school and mix it up and shit. And place money on people. Like, I bet you this dude will beat you. You know what I mean? That's how Cass was doing the hustle, you was good at the games. All right, let me be your manager. I'm Jimmy Hart. Let me get this
Right.
money.
Mouth of the South.
Right, but just the era. I'm a Super Nintendo kid, Super Mario Brother World. Remember playing that for the first time. Super Metroid, one of my favorite games of all times. Just from that to now, is big growth in this technology into the system. Some things died, some things came along and blew things out the water. How do you feel about the evolution of video games and the modern games now versus the ones back then in regards to quality, marketing, everything?
I think what's interesting about games in general is that if you were to ask me what I think was a golden age, I really think it's the mid 2000s. And I think that's because the first generation of people who were inspired by some of the earlier games, the Pongs, that type of thing. I think that audience, and then you also had to talk about how the world started to also get into game development. Most of the games we played on NES and SNES are essentially games that were worked on by Japanese creators. And
Right.
while that was cool, we started to see the creative input from the world at large through the mid 2000s. In addition to that, that group of people were able to take ideas that were in their brain and just say, I'm going to make that. And they made it very much without well, every group has pressure to make money, right? I
Yeah.
think that now we see groups look at something like a Fortnite and say, I want to copy that $1 billion money making machine, right?
Right.
And instead of doing the thing that they do well, the way I likened it to my brother the other day was I said, imagine my brother's an architect, right? My brother's an architect. I own a company. And I just saw somebody win the mega millions, right? He won like $1 billion. Imagine if I came to my brother and said, hey, quit your job. I'm quitting my company. And we're going to try to figure out how to win the mega millions because I saw somebody else do it,
Oh,
right?
I don't know.
And so, no, right? Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really the mentality right now is that a lot of companies, unfortunately, while we have all of the technology available to us, are more interested in trying to copy someone else's idea to just try to see if they can hit the jackpot, right? They say, hey, this thing called Fortnite came through and we're going to try to copy that, right? And sure, I think to some degree, influence has always been a part of gaming, right? So, like, the way that I liken it is imagine in the 90s, platformers popped off. Everybody said, let's make a platformer, right? Then when once again fighting games came along and showed people, hey, you can make this kind of money in arcades because you got two people playing instead of one. What happened? Everybody wanted to make a fighting game. Fighting games,
It was all over the place.
we
Yeah.
couldn't get enough of fighting games, right? Then in the early 2000s,
They
hey,
even made Clay Fighter. Clay
right,
Fighter.
Clay Fighter, and Clay Fighter 63 in the third. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so in the early 2000s, things like Halo come along, and they're like, wait, we can get more than just two people. We could do a multiplayer where we could get four
Yeah.
plus people, and
Ding,
then
ding, 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 ding,
everything, right?
ding.
Everything became we got a shoot game multiplayer type
First
platform.
person. Yeah.
All of those first person shooters start coming through, right?
Right.
And then here comes something like a Fortnite. Well, really more like PUBG. Somebody goes, well, wait, we can get more than 16. We get 100 people in here at any
Yeah,
one given
now it's
time.
nutty.
And so
Yeah.
there's always been that aspect of it. But I think that the monetization and those types of things have gotten in the way to creativity. And
Right.
so once again, you stop and take a look at something like Def Jam Vendetta, right? And you
Yeah.
go, okay, so here's the aspect of making money, but it's really authentic, right? Imagine trying to make that game in the early 90s and somebody being like, Busta Rhymes is going to be in here and he's going to be doing wrestling moves and they're going to be cursing and they're going to also have Crip walking in here and we're going to do it. We're going to ship this. We're going to print this game. We're going to
Right.
ship this game and they're going to play it. And I think the mid 2000s really gave a lot of creative latitude, and so I look at the evolution of games of like, hey man, so there were these people who were really inspired by the cartoons that they were making, the stories that they read to create these virtual worlds to simulate that, and they got a chance to early on in the console, the home console kind of space. Then and the people who had even bigger, grander ideas about these brand new worlds that they wanted to create it, they created those types of things in the mid 2000s. And then things coming along like the internet gave us a little bit of parity. And then I think to some degree, we're watching also the kind of like the Hollywood turn of video games, where being in video games is about being famous and also about
Celebrity
trying to
fest.
say, yeah, there's a little bit of celebrity that's about it. And I think the thing that gives me some peace of mind is how much kids like Roblox. And even though there's some
Or
definitely
Minecraft.
or Minecraft, right? And so even though I have some reservations about Roblox overall, what it means is
Me
kids
too.
are happy to strip down all of the technology and all of the
The
modern
Yeah, for eight
advances,
bit.
grandiosness
yes, and
and
Yeah, they go back
grandiose,
to the 8 bit.
and
Yeah.
just be like, hey, no, this is
Yeah.
like me enjoying time with my friends. And
right.
that's
Right.
the
Right.
core activity is
Right.
I'm enjoying time with my friends in this virtual space. And so,
Right.
as much as I like video games, I think sometimes it surprises people that I have a critical eye about it, but that's because I love it so much, right?
Right. Right.
That I feel like
As
I
you
can be
should.
honest about it and then also say like, but here's like the bright spots. This is what I like about what I see. So
Right.
So the high points, like what I call like these industry changing moments. So for example, Hideo Kojima Metal Gear. where they become cinematic. The storytelling comes into it. It
Dude, that
becomes,
Snake Eater Delta is amazing.
You
you
having
know,
a good time with that over
Dude,
there?
you know,
dude, it's like at first playing it, I forgot about it, but then you start playing it more, you start remember. Oh yeah, I remember this level. Let me see if this shit's still over here. Yeah, it is. Oh shit, I got the sniper rifle.
yeah,
Oh,
because
I didn't need no guide.
that's the beginning of the stealth. Those are the games that are beginning that originated the stealth games.
Right,
And then
but
you get into other spaces.
the cinema, however, is amazing. You put the controller down for 20 minutes and you watching the movie, bro. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like the acting,
the
you got the story.
cutscenes.
Yeah,
Even if it's campy and corny or whatever, it's still a production that's going on. And that's what's missing in the games now is the compelling story that make you put the controller down and you still watching it. I think Black Myth Wukong is like that, but
got you.
yeah, that's a good game.
What?
But this is
Yeah,
like it taking me back. It just taking me back to how the games is. And Hideo Kojima, hats off, man, because you was a good dude.
I
You was a
mean,
good dude for
I
creating
mean,
that shit.
everything that he
It's
touches is in that
fun.
space.
Right.
It's like it's fun. You know what I mean? Like you can't just stop playing it. It's like very fun, compelling. And this is how the games used to be back in the day. You get into that shit as soon as you turn it on.
Yeah, and then you also have your Final Fantasies.
True.
That's another
Which is
True.
yes,
another
yes,
another
yes.
cinematic story. And games like that are the games that push the envelope that turned into multimedia extravaganzas. You got an anime from that. That was everybody
Of
watched.
course.
You had the Hollywood film that tried to capture the magic, even though it fell flat. The fact that it made it that far, which was what is it? Spirit Within. So it went
Yes.
from the
Yep.
Spirit Within, then it went to Advent Children, and Resident Evil. That's
Yeah,
Spun off,
another.
yeah,
became a movie. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And I think going back to what we were talking about earlier about the gaming industry and careers in that world, if you really think about it, the technology side of gaming is only one aspect because when you all these games that we're mentioning, there has to be writers,
True.
there has to be storytelling, there has to be actors, voice actors, and in some instances, real actors.
Yeah.
You have your directors. There are actual directors that have to come in to do the cutscenes and actually, in many instances, design the
Animators. Yep.
direction, of the game itself.
Yep.
There are so many factors that come into the industry of gaming, and we're now at a place where the concept of multimedia is normal. Like, there was remember back what was that Dungeons and Dragons type game? What was it called with Lance? And it was like an animated game, and you had one button to push, and you had to
What was
push it
that,
at the right time.
Dragon?
Dragon
Oh,
Slayer,
Dragon.
Dragon
Dragon
Yeah.
Slayer.
Slayer, yeah.
Yep.
That was the first attempt to kind of merge animation and gaming with a like kind of like choose your own adventure type of thing.
Very true. Yep. Now I
So,
got funny enough. I got Dragon's Lair. Got the arcade. Got an arcade machine up there.
are you serious?
A company
Oh,
called oh shoot, iArcade. A company called
Okay.
iArcade got the licensing for it and started to remake those machines. So I don't want nobody at the house thinking that I got an original
I was like,
Dragon
hey,
Slayer no machine up at the no upstairs, but no,
it's got to
I
get
have
busy.
a one of the more recently made Dragon's Lair machines. And no, you're 1,000% correct. The combination between animation and choose your own adventure, and I think that creative outlet around understanding that games is is an engagement tool that you could use. No, I think that's a perfect example of that. And to
yeah,
your point, man, there's a ton of jobs that are not playing a game or competing as as on air talent. It
yeah.
definitely talks about skill sets that are beyond that you can bring to the video game space.
And remember the original MAGA Mothers Against Gaming Alliance?
There we go.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there was
That
a,
was
there was a time where we were told that if we played video games, it would rot our
brought
brains
our
or turn
brains.
us into violent
Yeah.
people in real life.
And this is of the era of the GTAs. You know what I mean? Or just I'll take it back to Nintendo. Pac-Man. You playing that shit too long? People have a problem with. Do games really warp the brain? Do games and why do people have this angst against video games and playing it? Like mothers and particularly some dudes' girlfriends and shit. You know what I mean?
Um,
You know
What?
what I mean?
What?
well, I mean, let's be honest. We didn't have a lot of we didn't have a lot of comprehensive and we didn't have a lot of sophisticated conversations around video games.
Right.
And so imagine video games had kids reading and problem solving with
Yeah.
no inherent prize,
Yeah.
that you got at the end, right?
Right.
Y'all remember Book It? They used to be like, "Hey, if you read and do your book reports, we'll give you a
Mm-hmm.
free coupon for a personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut," right?
Yep.
Right.
Games do the same thing, and they be like, "You don't get no pizza at the end of this. You just get the pride of knowing that you did what you did,"
That you
right?
accomplished the goal.
And I think what's crazy about that is that um, I would say educators or adults in general did not stop and kind of think about things like that. They were like, "Hey, here's this tool that is literally getting kids to read and problem solve and remember everything without telling them, oh, hey, we're going to give you something at the end. There's no monetary gain. There's none of that."
Right.
And we just started thinking about using it as a tool until recently in education, right? Where it was like, hey, this is like proximity to technology. This is proximity to arts. This is proximity to all of these different career paths. And
Yes,
once again,
sir.
kids are self-motivated to hop onto these things and do them on their own. And
Yes,
I
sir.
think in a lot of ways, it's unfortunate how we missed that opportunity.
Way
And
back correct.
right. And instead, what we did was that we separated ourselves from a lot of those people, and we called them names, right? We associated them
Nerds.
with all of the negative stuff, right? We associated them with being, hey, they're obsessive about this, right?
Right.
Instead of being like, well, no, I mean, like, it's a problem that they're trying to solve, and they're really motivated to try to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of trying to say, well, hey, there needs to be a balance in life, right? And so that goes for anything. We wouldn't want anyone to be like, well, hey, man, I just been straight playing basketball for 16 hours straight. We wouldn't want anybody to do any
Hey
of
man,
those
what's wrong
things,
with you, man?
right?
Until he gets drafted into the NBA
Right.
and
No,
gets
yeah.
millions
And
of
then, of course,
dollars.
right. Then
Well,
it's
You know,
about,
then
yeah.
they'll say yes, and he was training
he was
hard,
training
all
hard
those,
forever,
He
right?
was out there for
right.
16 hours. Amazing.
And that's really what it comes down to. It no one knew how to monetize it, and the only people who understood the educational benefits of gaming were the military. The
Mm,
military was using video games in the 90s to start
mm,
training their soldiers. You know, they had the flight simulators for the
mm-hmm,
military
Yep.
pilots, and
mm-hmm.
the Call of Duties and all that came from simulators to kind of demonstrate war situations to prepare.
I heard if you're pretty good at that game, they looking at you too.
Man, listen, like the last Starfighter.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
You know, and that's a good example of when people like Last Starfighter, Tron. These were when this is when other areas of industry try to say, well, there's more to this gaming thing than we realize. Let's see if we can capitalize off of this in this space over here. So then gaming becomes a part of Hollywood. And remember, like war games. Remember war
Yeah,
games?
Yep.
yeah,
Shall we
Yep.
yeah,
play a game? You know,
yeah,
you got
yeah.
all of these different things where gaming started sneaking up to the point where we get that first we have the epic book Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like all the way back, people used to love that book and talk about that book.
Yeah.
So then you get to the point where the movie comes out. And one of the things I like about the movie is that it also warns us about what it really looks like to be obsessed with games.
Exactly.
Because there's a difference between being a gamer and practicing. And fun fact, it's now proven that people who play video games, it actually stimulates their problem solving skills. It does not degrade
It
or
doesn't diminish. Yep.
it does not. So the myths, the myths in that space are the
And hand
same
and
as
eye
the
coordination is that
correct,
still?
absolutely. Motor
Yeah,
skills.
yeah.
Young kids who play video games develop a different type of motor skill and a different type of reaction time with their thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So we always learn that what people fear is usually related to what they don't understand.
Stand. Yep.
And so generations who play video games, the previous generations didn't have that. So they was like, well, you should be doing this. And it's like, well, what you was doing, yes, I'm playing a video game, but you was outside throwing rocks.
What
You
about
know,
the
Right.
violence in video? What about the violence in video games like GTA and all that shit? It says it motivates people to do dangerous shit. like they blame rap and all that shit. It's kind of like on the same merit. Like
It's
people gonna go outside and beat people with a pipe, like a final fight or some shit. You ain't Hagar.
Well,
well, yeah, you know,
there was a really good book written called called Moral Combat, not Mortal, but Moral Combat.
That's
nice.
dope.
And what's interesting about one of the things that book points out is that violent offenders are attributed to their, sometimes to the video games because they find a person who did something, right? And then later on, they be like, they have video games at home, right? And they
Right.
would just try to link those two things. Like,
That
and
was
so I think
it.
the funny example that they made was, well, guess what? You only started to find that because, of course, more kids were playing video games, right? There was
Right.
the correlation wasn't causation, right? Because
Right.
guess what? You could say we found toothpaste in all their homes. Is toothpaste what made them a
Exactly.
violent person?
And actually, yes, fluoride is the danger.
Fluoride is the
Pretty
danger, right?
You
much.
know,
And so, no, I think one of the ways that they dispelled that was that what they were finding in a lot of their research about the topic at general was that the people who had their data sets around how they thought video games was influencing people or causing them to be upset were people who generally had a political agenda. They were researching something to hope that they could support what they already felt. And anyone
bias to
who's
science.
biased to say,
Mm-hmm.
and so guess what? Anybody that knows anything about research will tell you you never research something hoping to prove what you already feel. If you're going to
Right.
research something, be prepared for results however they come to you, right? And so when people said that hey, listen, we weren't researching anything uh when we provided mental health therapy for a lot of people, when we weren't doing that kind of research and we just gave them the help, we realized that games was the way that they released their anger about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
their natural research led them to understand that games was not the cause of that, the same way that people blame Tom and Jerry for
Correct. Or Three
kids, right?
Stooges, you know,
And Three
right.
Stooges, right?
Yeah, man.
Realize that those things had very little to no impact to make kids violent towards one another, and video games very much in the same way do have really a comical level of violence, right?
Yeah.
Because guess what? You could say GTA would get a kid to the famous, they always point to the famous portion where they go, well, he beat up a hooker and then stole a car. They love bringing that part up. But guess what? When you go outside, you don't see people that active. Now, some hoods, I don't know about everybody hood.
Hey, you might go outside and see the
You might go
and
out,
see
you
the
might go out
grimy.
there to Lake County and see some
Yeah,
things
you
now.
might see
Them
some dirty shit.
hoods, watch out for Naperville.
But no, the
Yeah.
real spit is that when you go outside, you don't see that happening. And so, I think kids are smarter than we give them credit for. They realize there's a real world and there's a virtual world.
And that's it.
And they see in the real world, they see consequences for their actions.
Correct.
And in the virtual world,
Hey, you may
obvious.
yeah.
Yeah, once again, this is something that
You
is
raise some
as
stars and you could go and hide
Listen,
there
under a
you go.
viaduct and you
nah,
straight,
As our,
you
man.
as our good friend
schizophrenic.
Fred Rogers used to say, this is make believe, baby.
Yeah, you
Listen,
know?
remember when they also said that Lord of the Rings was going to cause you to become a devil
To
worshiper?
become a devil. Yep.
Really?
Nope.
Yeah.
That Harry Potter, all of
Yep, Harry
that is
Potter. It was
wicked
all
reading.
Really?
Yep.
satanic. It was going to make you
Because of
evil
magic and shit?
Yep.
because of magic, because of the fact that it mentions things like Lord, but associated with a man.
What a man. Yep.
You know,
Oh, so that's
like
that.
these are like you saying master, but you're not calling about Jesus.
Okay, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Okay, I
it's
see.
again, it's agendas and it's
Mm-hmm.
propaganda and things that
Yeah.
people use. They weaponize innocence and they
Yeah.
weaponize ignorance, and
Yep.
Yeah.
that's where games took a short at one point. However, I also will say that going through that is how we got to where we are,
Mm-hmm.
because once people started to see, okay, this child that I let play this video game is he's still a high achiever in school. I really have nothing to complain about. Parents looking firsthand at their kids is different than, people on TV telling you something and going to Congress and having a fucking constituent meeting to discuss that's all fluff, right? The
Yeah,
real world is different. So gaming has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it applies to, I mean, you now have games that teach you at high levels anything you want to learn.
exactly.
Dude, and
Yep,
there's so many simulation games out now, like straight up farming, straight up carpentry, construction. It's like you and for free. This should be on the PS, like
or get
the
on
network and shit.
grab a MetaQuest, and there are a number of things that are literally there to do the teaching and training for real life jobs, like
Yeah,
things in the medical space and things like that.
yeah.
The advances that virtual reality as a product that people can purchase for the home that's consumer ready have also been making these really wild reaches into XR, or what they call mixed reality. And so
Mm,
it's like, hey, I've got a headset on here, but I'm watching a mechanic fix a car 1,000 miles away, and this is a training tool, right?
Right.
And
yes.
so
Yeah.
gaming is what gets people to put the headset on, but
Mm-hmm.
um, the careers and those particular places is what makes you say, hey, I'm going to make a purchase, and this is where I'm going to get my career at. So
Facts.
And
Facts.
that's the next step.
So
That's
what's
crazy.
what's your favorite game?
There you go.
that's one of the toughest questions that's still difficult for me to answer. I think that from a really, really vanilla standpoint, I enjoyed as a kid Super Mario Brothers 3,
Okay.
Okay.
specifically number 3.
Okay.
I think that's like one of the first games for me where the music, the sound effects, the exploration, all of that came together in a really nice package. I played that game over and over again, got to the
Mm,
point where I was like beating it and trying to like challenge my times in that particular way. Had a lot of fun really kind of digging into that game.
mm.
Um, while I was in college, I really enjoyed Gears of War 2. Me and my brother, that was one of the first things that I think we really played online together. Like, we both had internet capability,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
both had a system at the same time. So we played a lot of Gears at that particular time. Um, I think in 2015, when I say we played Overwatch every single night from like,
You was an Overwatcher. Okay.
yeah, we
Yeah.
played Overwatch from 7 till midnight, literally for like 3-4 years straight, man. For
That's
three, four
dope.
years straight.
That's dope.
It was every single night. It was like, hey, no, man, it's 7 o'clock. Let's go.
It's
And at the
popping.
time, my brother and I were living in the same building. And
Mm.
so, we would, literally
Ah,
be like, let's hop on the game now together. And then we would, like I said,
And
play for
build.
hours on
Yeah,
end.
that's
So,
dope.
yeah, I've had a variety of favorite games, and I think it's impossible for me to pick just one. So I
Well,
got
let
my
me
money
follow up. Let me
up.
follow up. Let me follow up with this question. What's your favorite console of all time?
Like that's any easier. I think no, I think the Nintendo Entertainment System will always have a special place in my heart. I
okay,
think
Yeah.
that
okay.
Yeah.
you know, everything else. But see, I had so many cool stories. So when the Dreamcast came out, me and my brother
See,
saved
I knew
money.
it. I knew that was
We
going.
saved money for the Dreamcast,
Yes, sir.
and I had really traditional parents. My mother was upset that we had saved money and didn't tell her we had all this money, so she made us
Ah,
buy our school clothes with the money. She took the money and
uh,
made us buy our
wow.
school clothes with the money,
Oh,
and
she
so.
punished you for that. Ah,
So then we did it again. So then we raised the money again, and then and the Dreamcast. I mean that, because Marvel 2 really, Marvel versus Capcom 2
Yeah, there we
really had
go.
a chokehold on us. We went to Hollywood. We went to Hollywood Park out here in the South Burbs, and we saw
Hmm.
the machine. We was like, "Oh, word! They doing this? They let you pick 3 people
Right, they getting busy like
and play
this.
this." And so
What?
when we found out there was a home release for it coming out, we were like, "Oh, whatever
We
system
gotta
that's
get it.
on,
Yeah,
we
whatever
have
whatever.
to
system
We
get
that's
getting
right.
on,
there.
we have to
Yep,
get that
yep.
system right." So no, yeah, sure enough, man, we found our way to
Yeah.
go ahead and get that.
That was
And
the same
yeah,
fucking reason,
same
bro.
thing. Yep.
Yeah, but I like the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was dope, man. Just the Power Stone game and the other
Oh,
motherfuckers. It was
it was
pretty
it was at such
Shinmu.
a perfect time because the arcade board that's known for those games, which is the Naomi arcade board,
Mm.
Yeah,
and Naomi and Thomas Wave really did a great job at saying, "Hey, like let's take these things that we got in arcade, and now it's available at home. It's not hard for us to recreate this at home." And we really got the best of the Naomi arcade board at home with the Dreamcast. I mean, you got I believe the character's name is Hayato. And so we got a lot of those games, like the fighting game that he has, which is a 3D fighter. We got that fighting game on Dreamcast. Like you said, we got Power Stone 1 and 2 on Dreamcast.
Rival Schools.
Rival Schools, Project Justice
Ooh.
Rival Schools 2. We got that. That was another Naomi arcade game that we got to enjoy the benefit of. So, I mean, and then on top of that, let's not forget, you also had Capcom versus SNK1, Capcom
Yeah,
versus
yeah,
SNK2. So
yeah.
there was just this wild amount of stuff that you just had access to on the Sega Dreamcast. It was a great time. It was a great
I
time.
love it.
There you
I love
go.
it, man. So yeah,
So
man.
so let's talk about what the real nitty gritty of why we came together.
Oh yeah.
Let's dig into that a little bit. So everybody understands what you got going on and what the I Play Games movement is really all about.
Well, I'm really happy to let everybody know that I feel like our city is taking an opportunity to start noticing and exploring different spaces. We just most recently worked with the mayor's office of community safety to go to the west side of Chicago at Legler Library, and we have taken the inspiration that midnight basketball and other things have had like that to help keep our neighborhood safe, and we actually created the very first video game night in collaboration with the mayor's office of community safety. And so I really felt like this was a great opportunity for us to get an opportunity to collaborate. Specifically, man, I've just noticed the great work that you guys have been doing, grinding, covering events here. And I really wanted to find my way to be a part of that with you guys and to work together on something. And so coming up this
Excellent.
September 26th, we
Word
are getting
up.
ready to host another one. And I think what I'll do is right.
Yes, yes, yes.
I will preliminarily announce the space that we look to go. Yeah, we're going to go to the Inglewood neighborhood this time around, and we are
Woo.
going to host another video game night from 9 p.m. to midnight. Come through. There's going to be a ton of fun stuff again. We got a variety of video games. There was food. There was a lot of things given away at that event, free shirts, all types of stuff. And so I'm happy to announce that I will be doing this work in collaboration with you guys, being able to cover and point out the high points, including one new piece of entertainment that we're working on right now, which is
Uh-oh.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo uh,
Oh.
tournament that we're going to be hosting. Yeah. And Fly Nerds own Corey Green is actually going to be a part of that invitational, a
Ooh. Shout
person
out Corey Green.
exhibition that we're
What's
going to be
up?
hosting and streaming. And we're going to try to find Chicago's best Street Fighter 2 player.
Bet. That's what's up. That's amazing. And just to add this caveat for everybody that's listening, this is for the youth.
Yeah.
Do
Yes.
not do not bring your old ass up to this place trying to take over the console.
I don't know nothing about this game. I don't know
Right.
no,
nothing about this.
no,
Let me
and
see this.
I've been playing with
you should
Ken
have
since
saw
2010.
you should have saw the kids last time. So like to bring that home, Amby,
Yeah.
we had space for 75 people and we had about 100 people show up. And so what was really cool about that was the target audience stuck. So we had literally 65 kids,
Hmm.
and the 100 people that showed up were the families that brought them, right?
Great,
So
great.
I want everybody to know, if you've got young people, you got teens at the house, you got little kids at the house, I think they want to focus on teenagers mostly.
Okay.
But if you're a mom, you're a dad, and you are like, hey, I'm going to bring my kids to this, they're not turning adults away at the door. They're not turning away, but they really want family members to bring them, right? And I think it's cool because the inspiration behind it, really kind of came through. And so, you had kids playing games all night, enjoying a peaceful place, to just kind of like get together. And we also had tons of supervision. So it was super successful. And I think the more that we do these and the more kinds of success that we have and the
Right.
more feedback that we get, especially on social media, that'll help us be able to start picking bigger venues that'll allow us to say, well, hey, man, this is open to everybody in this neighborhood.
Right,
Right.
right,
And
right.
I think it's a beautiful thing. I just love seeing Black people having fun doing stuff.
There you
I
go.
love
There you
I
go.
love seeing us when we hit the double dutch. I love seeing the
Mm,
smiling faces. I love
mm.
seeing when they hit the percolator, when they turn on the percolator, the
Ooh.
DJ turn on. I love seeing the dance, and I love seeing the smiling faces. And I feel like this was right in line with that, man. We had families, we had kids having a really good time, the smiles on their faces, all of that to enjoy the video games. And no, man, I'm super happy and proud to find this way to be able to collaborate with you guys in that way. And I just know it's going to be good. I can't wait for it.
Man, I'm
That's
geek.
what's up, and I appreciate it. I'm
Yeah,
excited just to be a part of this as well for the same reasons of why you do it.
right.
Fly Nerd Group's ethos and our culture is 100% about expounding and expanding the youth opportunities and giving them a
Yeah,
greater awareness of where they can go as Black youth, in this world.
right.
I I want to remind everybody too that you are also available for private parties.
Yeah, so I mean, we knock out a lot of stuff. I mean, our client list is definitely varied and whatnot, and so
Mm,
we've done some famous celebrities' birthday parties and things like
see,
that.
see.
Obviously, most people know a lot about our B2B work, the work that we've done. Shout outs to Stephen Smith from Verizon. He supported a lot of the things we've done in the community. Nissan Erect sites with Microsoft, also another one of our really big supporters that from business to business, we do a lot of great work with. And then we're
Great.
also CPS vendors. So for anybody that is a teacher out there or a principal, and you're like, hey, how do I bring this program to my school? We spoke about it a little bit earlier where I'm, bringing kids to Comic-Con, and I'm bringing them to my new job at Truman College as the director of esports. We just built a brand new esports facility there. And shouts out to Dr. Jackson, the president over at Truman College.
Congrats,
Very
congrats.
progressive, very progressive in his thinking in that particular way. And the Truman family has definitely taken their dive into the video game and esports space as well.
Oh,
Congrats, man.
yeah,
That's
that's
dope.
great.
See, you getting the achievements. So you like the
All right.
PlayStation joints. You just dropping your achievements and shit.
Kevin has got the award of director.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh shit.
exactly. Well, see,
He
I be
collected
telling folks
35 now.
when the documentary comes out, or however they decide to try to capture this time of our life, people are going to see the list of organizations that we worked with, and I try to remind everybody we tried our absolute best to either grow what some group was doing or to introduce them. And so I mean, we have monthly events with the public library, the U Media program, and so
There we go.
downtown Chicago we have monthly gaming events with them. We have worked with our Children's Miracle Network Hospital.
Hmm.
We've worked with that's a Robert and Ann Lurie's children, but we also have worked with Laura Beta's Children's Hospital in South Shore.
Okay.
We're with the Park District. We're vendors with the public schools. You go down the list, like you find an organization we done worked with them: the Bulls, the Sky, the
Wow.
Bears, the Wolves.
Hey.
Go down the list. We probably have worked with them all. So, and we're still working on it.
That's right.
And I wish nothing but continued success and growth in that space for you too, because this is an
Absolutely.
amazing thing. This is it's very much necessary. Number one, And because all kids play games, I can't. It's like all kids play games and all kids read something, whether it's a book or a
Yeah,
comic book. They do
yeah.
these things.
True.
So we're 100% behind you and support this endeavor as much as I appreciate everything you said about us because we're doing the same thing in different spaces, and
True.
they overlap because it's all fly nerd.
Precisely. Yep. It's all the same shit, man.
Yeah, fly nerds play games. But yeah,
Yeah.
any last words?
No, man. I mean, once again, if you guys get a chance to, for anybody that's watching out there, and you're like, "Hey, I want to compete," I'd love to throw my link to the Discord in the imaginary chat or the description that'll come up.
Hmm.
Also, we're hosting weekly Smash Brothers tournaments at Intentional Sports on the West Side. We're hosting
Okay.
weekly Street Fighter and Tekken tournaments at Mid Lane Esports. We're hosting Mario Kart weekly online through our Discord. So we got a ton of ways for anybody to stay tapped in on what we're working on next.
Okay, fantastic. And as
Right.
always, where can they find you on social media?
So I am at IPG_CEO on Instagram. We are I Play Games on Twitter, X, and Blue Sky. And on YouTube, we've got weekly content coming out on our YouTube page. Literally, I Play Games again, IPG_esports. And then our website, where you guys can reach out and contact us, is at www.ipgnation.com.
Excellent.
Word.
All
Okay.
right.
And we're gonna have all of that in the description and shit when you check it out. So yo, this was a pleasure, Mr. Fair.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, we hit it at an hour almost exactly,
On
Ooh,
the
because we are professional.
right?
we the fly nerds. This is how we do it. So
Yeah,
nah,
so
man.
Fly Nerd Group, I'm Amby Warhol,
Cosmo Galactus.
and we are out.
Peace, 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 peace.